Hey everybody, what the fuck is up? It's Usselman, it's your boy. Thanks for 250 subscribers. I'm gonna prove to all of you that I have what it takes to make you all happy, even if you don't understand English. Today, I have a special treat for you. I don't know how long it's gonna last. I don't know how long this video is gonna be. And I don't even know if it's gonna be entertaining, or maybe it'll be really boring, but we're just gonna see how it goes. I've got a drink here with me. I've got a broken Turtle Beach put together with electrical tape from 2010 for audio. And we're just going to get right into it. Basically, what I've got here is a screenplay that I wrote like 3 years ago when I was super high. I don't even know what the fuck I was doing. But I wrote this fucking thing. And I'm gonna read it out to you guys. It's kind of long. This video could be really boring and shitty, but just pay attention, listen up. I'm gonna put a transcription. I'll put it in the description of the video if it's long enough, or maybe I'll put it in a WordPad or something. But anyway, whatever. That doesn't matter. We're gonna get into it. Here we go. Crack your beverages, everybody. Light up that joint. We're going to get into this. Here we go. It's called Where the Money Is. Middle America, suburban household, evening, Act 1. Another day, one less dollar. Disheveled man walks in front door. Joanna Lean. Oh, Georgie, I swear that cardboard box making will kill you one day. George. I don't got any skills other than cardboard boxes. They're all I know. It's getting worse every day. People keep switching to those damn plastic bins. Oh, Georgie. George puts his hat to his chest. Joannaline, honey, I won't let you down. But there's only one solution that comes to mind. I have to go to a less civilized and less economically advanced location to continue my lifelong dream of becoming the world's finest cardboard box crafter in all of North America. And I support you and the baby and all, meanwhile, with my funds. I just have to go where the money is, dear. But Georgie, we both know there's only one other place that's less economically advanced than the Middle America. You don't mean you're moving to? That's right, Joannaline. Canada. But how could you? You're telling me that I'll be stuck here with a baby alone, receiving money through the mail? How could a woman live like that? You know a woman has her urges, Georgie. How long do you plan on staying there? A month? A year? A lifetime? I haven't thought that through. No. If you want to abandon me and leave your daughter without a father to raise her, then I'll have to find her one. Listen, hun. I will write you letters every day, chronicling how much I miss you two as long as you let me take this opportunity to provide for us. I already have a job offer at another box factory up there. I won't be terribly long, in fact, at the drop of a hat. He then drops his hat. I'll be here to visit, deal? Oh, Georgie. Joannaline falls into Georgie's arms and sobs while he hugs her, as it fades to black. That's Act 1, guys. Act 2, Unexpected Consequences. Fades to shots of planes taking off and traveling towards Canada, accomplishing with maps and drawing of lines as well as shots of planes from YouTube. The classic Indiana Jones style. George steps off the plane with bags to find a limo man waiting for him with a board with his name on it. Northwest Territories, early morning. And who are you, wise guy? Well, I am simply an employee of a limo company. I've been hired to pick you up here by your new employer. Well, in that case, take me to my hotel room, please. Why, of course. Onward, then. Limo man points towards the road. I don't see any limos anywhere. Why, that's because it's right around the corner. Don't fear, my little Georgie. Limo man grabs him by the arm. Georgie? Why, that's only the name my wife calls me. Limo Man has a blank stare, as if trying to process what to do next. Limo Man trips George to the ground and whacks him, knocking him out and then fade to George in custody, binded around a chair with only a lamp shining on him, and Limo Man standing in front of him with an eerie stare. Well, well, boy, we've woken up, haven't we? I'll keep this short and sweet, eh? I am offering a little deal your way, huh? How does that sound to you? Huh? See, the thing is, this ain't the kind of deal you can negotiate with. This is the kind of deal in which you shut up and do exactly as I say, or I'll torture you. Shots of George's face, terrified. Now, I've arranged for a little get-together for you and an associate of mine. She's real fine looking, let me tell you. But I'm married. Exactly. You're having me forced onto cheating on my wife? Correct again. But why? Huh, you really don't remember me, do you, you jackass? Have we met before or something? Well, we first knew each other in Boston, remember? In grade school, before you flew off to Kansas or whatever with your high school sweetheart. Actually, it was Nebraska. Shut up! This is no time for corrections. This is the time in which marital vows shall be broken. Now be gone with you. Smack. Darkness. Fades into Joannaline writing a letter, with a voiceover. And Joannaline writing the words down as they're said. George, I hope your first night in Endillo was more pleasant than my first without you. I'm still not keen on this idea, but I'll do it for you. You've been there a night already, and I don't have a letter in the mail. Perhaps you forgot to express ship it. The baby said her first word today. The word was awfully racist, however, and I'd prefer not to repeat it. I'll tell our neighbors, the Sorensens, that it was Tigger from Winnie the Pooh, because they could have overheard it. It was incredibly loud. I believe I might get a sitter and visit you tonight. I'll have this letter delivered express right to you. See you tonight. I can't wait to see your surprised face. Signed, yours truly, Joannaline. Act 3, The Seduction of George. George wakes up looking at the ceiling in an unknown room. Well, howdy, sailor. Heard you make boxes. George, trying to push the woman away. You cannot escape me. Quit moving. Whore throws George on the bed. This can't be happening. No. Shots of agony on George's face as he screams to the heavens for help, the whore slowly unbuckling his belt. Please, somebody, save me. Anybody. God, are you there? George tries to put his hands together to pray, but the ropes bind him in place. There's no God where you're going, big boy. Beads of sweat drip down George's face as he becomes increasingly flustered, unsure of what to do or what to say. I am a devout Christian. I have been all my life. God, if you're real, please, for the love of all that is holy, send Jesus down to save me. The whore cackles and rips his blue jeans down from George's waist, but just as she does, a blinding white light bursts from the ceiling, shocking both George and the whore. I knew putting that 20 in the collection plate would pay off one day. The whore then realizes what's going on. She's kind of slow from the years of drug use, and shoves George's 5.7-inch penis down her throat with such velocity that even Jesus was amazed, and before feeling shocked directly thereafter, wondered briefly if she had somehow removed her uvula. The whore then thinks to herself, the billboard outside that Denny's I frequent really wasn't lying. The surgery does pay for itself. With a satisfied grin on her face, or at least as much as you can grin with a dick in your mouth, she notices Jesus is slowly backing up to the corner of the room. Jesus, thank God, please, please, please take me away from here this very instant. If this whore has her way with me, I shall be tainted until the day I die, and my marriage will fall apart. Jesus stands in the corner of the room with a disgusted look on his face. Jesus, what's wrong? I said please take me out of this place this instant. Any moment now this wench is sure to have her way with me. Quickly, Jesus. I'm sorry, my son, but it's already too late. George, absolutely furious, screams, What do you mean, help me right now, untie me? Being such a devout Christian as you say you are, I would assume you knew the 11th commandment. Thou shalt not blow or receive blowings from others, as it is a nasty habit.
My priest never mentioned that, not once. Plus, I was abducted and brought here against my will. Surely that's gotta count as breaking one of the amendments, right?
George, how am I to believe you were abducted and brought to the back room of a brothel to be given free service? I am sorry, George. I did love you and wished to assist you, but now this disgusting prostitute has corrupted your pure soul. I can be of no more assistance. Jesus raises his arms as he slowly lifts into the bright light once again, gone as quickly as he appeared.
I can't believe this. I went to church for 35 years.
The whore, finally taking his member out of her mouth, laughs in his face.
Then I suppose I won't need to even sleep with you. Even better, less work for me. Oh, limo man, are you still here? Our work here is done.
Wonderful, milady. Now, to the all-you-can-eat fish and chip buffet for your compensation for your hard work.
The whore's eyes light up, licking her lips. George theorizes in his head whether she's a very big fan of fish, or if she hadn't eaten in a while. The limo man grabs the whore by the arm and gallivants to the door, when he is suddenly stopped by her.
But what about him?
Don't worry your little taken advantage of in this scenario head. He shall be dealt with in due time. The limo man walks to George. Clearly he had completely forgotten about him until the whore spoke up.
Here, as a precautionary measure.
The limo man wraps a bandana around George's head tightly and shoves the front of the fabric into George's mouth, soon to form a sloppy, drool-soaked ball in minutes. Now he won't be alerting the other customers, or anybody for that matter. The limo man confidently strides out the front door with the whore locking it behind him. George, now alone in the room, ponders over what to do next in his head. What to do? There has to be a way out of this. I hate to admit it, but Joannaline was right. I never should have left. The rural lifestyle clearly was one of much more excitement than I could have ever anticipated. We could have just as easily forfeited our subscriptions to Netflix and Crunchyroll. However, Joannaline was only halfway through Death Note, and I doubt I ever would have heard the last of her bickering about that. Hopefully, in my absence, she has not resorted to torrenting, which would surely damn her soul to hell. Bah! Back to the task at hand. How do I escape this place if I can't even move? George's face begins to turn red as the blood starts going to his head, still being tied up and horizontal in a chair on the bed. Come on, George, think. Think, damn it, think. Aha! George's face changes completely in this instant, realizing that a memory of his past had just clued him in on how to escape. Act 4. Blood, guts, and warts. How you guys liking it so far? Feel free to leave a comment. Tell me if you like it. Now, in a flashback scene, George is a young boy with his friends from elementary school, walking down the railroad tracks from school with a honey garlic pepperoni stick in one hand and a can of Dr. Pepper in the other. Looking at a small pond by the railroad tracks, a group of kids run towards the pond in hopes of catching frogs. But as they run up to the pond, they notice that it's filled with nothing but dirty, ugly toads instead. Ew, it's just a bunch of nasty old toads. Let's spit on them to make them feel inferior to us. Yeah! Childhood friend number 1 spits upon the toad. It flops on its back in disgust, trying to wipe the nasty fluid from itself. Now, George, spit on its belly. Prove to us that you're cooler than a dirty old toad. All right. George begins to hawk a loogie the likes of which many of us have never seen, putting intense force behind the wind-up, only to unleash it like a green meteor, firing down at the toad at light speed. As the loogie pierces the toad's stomach, emptying out the poor creature's insides, George's face turns from confusion to disgust with himself. He thinks to himself, how could I have done this? The toad looks as though it had been turned inside out. After the intense velocity of the loogie fired by George, a complete mess of guts, blood, and warts lay on the dirt. A flurry of other childhood senses, birthdays, and pet funerals pass by in an instant as the story is brought back to present day. George, in his mind, works out the details. I never thought about that day with any significance in the past. It all makes so much sense now. It must have been the Dr. Pepper I was drinking. It must have made my loogie lethal. Conveniently, I drink a Dr. Pepper every morning with my 3 eggs served raw. So if I'm lucky, my snot spit should be able to corrode right through this bandana. George begins making very loud and disgusting hawking noises as he tries to escape his clutches. Soon enough, the bandana begins to disintegrate. "I can't believe that worked!" he exclaimed aloud, as he was now able to. However, just in that moment, George hears a second whore, with a patron in the establishment, unlocking the door. Quickly, he jumped to the floor with a blanket over him, staying as still as possible, trying to play himself off as a dirty pile of laundry. The second whore, giggling, lays the man down and begins undressing him. The door left wide open, George, sneaking away 1 inch at a time, makes it out of the door eventually, ripping off the blanket. George then looks around in dismay, appalled at what is currently in front of him. Women and men in all variations of leather apparel, whipping and biting each other like wild animals. Looking at it was enough to make George's Christian stomach feel sick. He runs for the exit and waits in the cold and the dark for 3 hours at the train station for the next available train to take him to the next available plane home. All he could think about was the precious box factory, boring and unchanging, but comfortable, and his wife, similarly boring and unchanging, yet comfortable. These thoughts occupy him for the entirety of the 5-hour flight. Not even the in-flight entertainment, the second Dumb and Dumber movie, could distract him from his woes. If anything, they made them even worse. And then falls asleep. He then falls asleep. Sorry I'm getting some of these words wrong, guys. I've had a few drinks. What can you expect? Act 5, here we go. Spider-Man Homecoming. This was right when that movie was coming out, I think, so I was pretty excited to see it. As George begins to smile tremendously just as the sun of the new day blasts his face with radiance, he can see his small town on the horizon. He knows he will be home soon in his lover's embrace. Only his smile is duly quelled as the child in the backseat behind him bursts into a fit of laughter over something assuredly stupid, and pushes his seat with both legs, causing George's Schweppes ginger ale to soar into the air from his hand, dumping perfectly, like an acrobat, upside down upon his head. The pilot speaks over the intercom. "Hello, everybody. It looks like a beautiful sunny day in Middle America here. And we'll be landing in 20 minutes. George grips the armrests of his chair in a death grip the likes of which even Johnny Young Bosch would have been afraid of, as his patience has worn thin by the annoying passengers and attempted rape he had suffered not even 12 hours prior. George thinks to himself, "I may require therapy after this traumatic experience." He then looks into his wallet, realizing he can't afford it. He furthers into his depression spiral. As the plane lands, George pushes himself in front of everybody, being one of the first people off the plane despite being seated near the back, leaving his carry-on luggage for whomever the highest bidder may be at those unclaimed luggage auctions. George feels like he's doing his part by leaving the luggage on board, as he has found many good deals on various merchandise that once came from unclaimed luggage in the past. In fact, he had met his wife Joanna Lean at an unclaimed luggage auction. As his string of consciousness brought him to think of his wife, he then thought of nothing else as he took the early morning bus ride back to home. Act 6. Knock knock. Knock knock. George knocks, knowing that he wouldn't need to, being as it is his house. However, he wanted to surprise Joanna Lean by making her to never expect that it would be him on such short notice, as he did not phone her prior to inform her of his early arrival home. A second or two after he knocks, he can hear the faint sounds of shuffling through the door, and a light glow protruding from the small, cloudy, obfuscated door window. Just 1 minute, I'll be right there." The sounds of shuffling continue again, this time with a barely audible whisper argument taking place that George could just faintly hear. Finally, the door opens. "Oh my God, honey, you're home. I'm so glad to see you, my little sugar muffin." What was that racket just now? "Oh, nothing, just dyeing my hair is all." "In the kitchen?" Yeah, the outlet in the bathroom isn't working." George marches down the hall, grabbing his nightlight from the outlet in the hallway and sticking it inside the outlet in the bathroom. It lights up instantly. George looks over his shoulder, now fuming with rage once again. Save it!" Joanna Lean was in shock. She had never seen him so upset before in all their years of marriage. George then walks briskly and annoyed to the bedroom, where upon opening the door, he sees a large clump of blankets in the corner of the room. Being suspicious of the clump, as he had used the very trick earlier, he uncovers Jesus, sitting on the floor, looking up at George, terror in his eyes.
Jesus, what exactly is going on here?
As you know, George, the 9th commandment is thou shalt not lie, so I must be true to myself and you. I have been sleeping with your wife while you were gone.
What?
George stands there, hands beside him, in shock of the information he had just obtained. I'm sorry about this. Jesus then slips behind George at lightning-fast speeds and whispers, Et tu, Brute? Into George's ear and stabs him in the chest 23 times, each stab making George scream louder than the last. Clutching his wounds as they bleed into the thick green carpet, George speaks his last dying words. But what about thou shalt not kill? Jesus, back turned to George, begins walking out of the room, dons his black leather trench coat over his white robes, puts on his aviators, and lights his cigarette. I'm Jesus, bitch. Then Jesus presses play on the jukebox directly beside him, synced to exactly 7 minutes and 44 seconds into The Who, Won't Get Fooled Again, exiting the room with a pimp stride, the likes of which George was unfamiliar to his entire life, and watched him scoop up his wife by the legs and walk out the front door, and float into the horizon with her in his holy arms. The camera pans out of the house, zooming out slowly over the town, then the country, then the world. And then a narrator starts to speak over the end, which is out of nowhere. There was not a narrator in any other part of the story, but this part will be narrated. And that, my friends, was the story of the Lucas family, specifically George, the most unlucky of all his family, plagued by unfortunate circumstances and always dealt the shitty hand. Luckily, however, he will live eternally happy in heaven. Or actually, I guess he's going to hell since that horse sucked his dick. I suppose there's nothing happy about this ending at all. Jeez. Way to end on a bummer. The end. Alright. So that was it, guys. I'm going to be including a text link of this in the description. So feel free to read that over. And yeah, thanks for subscribing. I'm going to be making new videos soon. I'm going to be making a new mic explosion. And I have a new idea for a new diddle gear. But it's not going to have William or Marty in it. It's just going to have to be me because they live in Enderby. And they don't come and see me anymore. They don't like me much anymore. So, just on my own. Sorry, guys. Anyway, sayonara. Hustleman for life.